can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you're at right now. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, where it's prime time somewhere all the time. And we're glad to have you with us today, this day after yesterday. And we got some stuff for you today. It's going to be kind of a different show in the fact that you may have to really listen really close to the way that the threads unfold today, because I have something in particular that I want to get across to people today. I think it's very important in light of the things that are coming down the road here. We're in fifth gear here, campaign mode, fifth gear. The Democrats have finally polished up their platform. We're going to talk a little bit about that today in terms of the effect, the Sanders effect, the burn, how the burn affected the Democratic platform this time around. Actually, I think Bernie Sanders may have actually been a plant because a lot of what the left has always wanted to do, they seem very open to doing now, and we'll discuss that briefly today during the course of the day. Of course, our never-ending campaigner out there, Barack Obama, down in Dallas today, once again trying to politicize something that he claims doesn't need to be politicized, but he's doing it anyways. And Loretta Lynch in front of the House Oversight Committee today, I guess frustrated a lot of Republicans. They couldn't get a whole lot out of her, as if that should be a surprise to anybody. But excuse me. So anyway, many things going on out there, and all this ties back into, of course, the campaign for Hillary Clinton here. I think I understand, from what I understand today, he's out. Sanders is out, officially going to endorse Hillary Clinton today, and maybe bring over some of those disgruntled, disenfranchised college kids to get them all on the same page. But he admittedly, during the talk circuits over the weekend, was very happy in the fact that he has affected the Democrat platform, which I guess will be probably unveiled here very shortly to us. It was supposed to have been finalized today, something like that. We'll keep looking for it. I keep looking for it. I haven't found it just yet. But,
it won't be out for a little while, John. They've got basically 2 weeks, John.
Oh, I know, but you know the way the left works is that somehow little by little start being leaked out there. So
yes, but of course, but their convention's after the Republican fund, so they're going to wait a little bit. They want their stuff to be out there. Yeah, they don't want to give it out too soon because they don't want the Republicans to smash to bits during their convention.
Well, I think given at this point, and apparently, and based on one of the subjects or one of the topics that I'm going to cover today, I don't think the GOP recognized his opportunity if it came up and smacked him in the face. I just don't. One of the things that I'm really perturbed at is the idea here that, okay, they botched the Benghazi hearing by not focusing on the right thing. They kept focusing on the stand-down orders. Was there a stand-down order given? Or was there an order to do something? Was that given? And then the argument, progresses to, well, could have had altered the results one way or the other. And to me, that's all majoring in minor stuff. They've spent little, if not any time, talking about the real reason Obama wanted the Benghazi thing kept under the carpet as much as possible, and that was the gun running. Nobody wants to talk about the gun running. What would that have done had that come into the public sphere back in 2012? That there were arms, guns, and equipment and everything else sitting in the Benghazi compound that the rebels ended up getting their hands on.
Oh, you mean just a few short weeks before a national election?
Yeah. See,
oh, gee, I don't know. It probably would have had no effect whatsoever on that.
Yeah, so, and the GOP, again, they just focused on the little stuff and really came up with no conclusions that the rest of us weren't able to figure out just by reading, just by following what was going on. We all know what happened here. We all know it wasn't over video. We all, and the only good thing that came out of Benghazi, of course, was the revelation that Hillary had a private email server. And then what did they do with that? Now they want to look for perjury charges against Hillary Clinton for lying to the Benghazi committee. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to go in this endless circle. You're not going to be able to prove intent. So what, in my opinion, what they should be doing, you should be taking everything that James Comey said about her lack of sophistication, whether that's true or not. See, the arguments are out there that, oh, no, she's dumb as a rock. The other one is, no, she's sly as a fox. It doesn't really make any difference. What they should be doing out there is just, I would be playing James Comey's testimony over and over and over and over. And I'll tell you what it would do. It would force Hillary Clinton to come out in one way, shape, or form or another and admit to one or the other. She would have to come out and say, no, I'm not dumb as a rock. I'm sophisticated. I know what's going on. That means what? That means she lied. Now you've got intent. You've got a perjury and you've got intent. But when you're just sitting there going, well, tell us if you lied. Yeah, right. Okay.
Well, I mean, look what happened today. You had Bernie Sanders come out after going, we must stand up to the corrupt system. And then what's he do? He endorses the corrupt system. Hey, congratulations. You feel the burn now. Do you feel burned, you Bernie? Yay,
I can't. Yeah.
You Bernieites.
Yeah. I can't help but think that I'm beginning to think, we keep talking about these coincidences and things that happen that just seem to be too timely, No. I'm beginning to think that Bernie Sanders might be a plant. He might have, the Democrats might have put him out here. Okay, here's your job, Uncle Bernie. Your job is to get all the college kids wanting to tear down the government. And we'll just, you just keep doing what you're doing. Or somebody in the Clinton camp or even the Obama camp advising the Clinton camp, let Uncle Bernie go. Let him go. He's going to drive us to the left, and that's what we want. And you don't have to take credit for it. It's almost like...
Yeah, you can blame Bernie for going to the left.
Yeah, but now they're not blaming him. Now they're praising him. Because some of the things that he's got into the platform are things that they wanted anyway. The idea Obama's floating out there today. He come out today, what? Oh, we need a public option for Obamacare because it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Well, we know that was the end game from the beginning. But who got it into the platform? Oh, Uncle Bernie. Uncle Bernie's the one that came out there and says, we want a public option. So what? Oh, now all of a sudden it's a big, you know what? Uncle Bernie's right.
Oh, what a great idea. We should have more government in your health care.
Yeah, and we knew that was the end game all along. And what's Obama telling us? A public option would add competition. The ACA didn't give us the competition that we wanted.
You took away all the competition. Crying out loud, you.
Okay, but see, are
we supposed to be that stupid? Are we really that dumb? Have we been Gruberized that much that we could listen to that and go, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. We would.
Apparently, there's enough of us out there stupid enough to believe it. That's what's called the Mott and Bailey. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. That's one of the examples of what we're going to talk about today. How the left has had done so well in sitting there and using the soft sell to advance the hard sell, and how they interchange this stuff. We call it liberal doublespeak. But it is a lesson in how Sal Alinsky trained his followers, his true believers, as to how to accomplish what you want by being part of the system. Not tear it down like Bill Ayers did, not blow it up, but how to become the system, and then you can do whatever the hell you want to. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And the GOP is still trying to figure out if they have any Republicans left in the party. You know, so it's like the Democrats know who they are. They know they're Marxists and socialists and every combination in between. They don't care. That's not the agenda. It doesn't care who we are. It's what we can get. The Republicans are sitting over there trying to figure out who's our friend and who's our enemy. You know, from within our own ranks.
About what they should be worried about. Exactly what you've been saying all along.
Yeah.
Goodness,
Anyway,
go to a break right now.
Yeah, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll get into today's festivities, because I got one thing I want to offer you on the that was given to me by someone out there in cyberspace about what he believes James Comey actually accomplished for the Republicans, but we'll probably be too stupid to figure it out. Yeah. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
We're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Now, I want to just kind of open up here as we get into the more serious stuff today. And something was sent to me. This was sent to me by an email, through an email. Somebody forwarded it to me. And it kind of lays out this case of what James Comey did at the conference, the news conference, and the hearing that he was called into last week. And, you know, in the words of this, I mean, if you just take it at face value, it actually sounds kind of brilliant. I don't know. I don't know, but I think it's worth talking about because there is some. It kind of lines up with what I said earlier, just before the break, about the GOP once again deciding to take everything that they've been handed on a golden platter and snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory once again by majoring in the minors, going after the wrong thing, trying to prove the wrong thing. I think a lot of it has to do with the influence of Trey Gowdy, who sees everything through the eyes of a prosecutor rather than maybe through the eyes of the constituent who's sitting out there really wanting to get to the bottom line. We don't need to finagle over the intricacies and the jargon and everything else when you can just get to the punch, get to the chase, and ask the question that everybody wants to know in a way that we don't have to all try to sound super intelligent and just smarter than everybody else in the room.
Well, that's kind of funny to hear, John, as I listened to some of Loretta Lynch's answers today, and believe me, when you could ask her, is water wet? And she would walk around the answer to the point you'd be going like, is up, down, down? Do we live on this planet?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, what do you mean by wet? You know, it's H2O. If we add one molecule or take one molecule away, we have carbon or something like that. You know, it's
more like my team and I just let my team do its work, and I came to the conclusion. They came up with the conclusion, and we all sat. And I don't want any political influences brought upon my team from outside organizations or anybody else about is water wet. So,
yeah, I know Joe's got a clip here. We're going to play it, but I want to put it in context with what we're talking about today, so that it really hits the way it's supposed to hit here. But let me give you this layout this guy sent me.
No, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, he says, fact number one, Comey laid out everything that Congress needs for them to petition James Clapper of the Department of National Intelligence to revoke Clinton's security clearance. Now, that I would agree with that.
Well, is he going to be able to do that? Does she hold a clearance right now? I mean, once she becomes the candidate, she's going to receive these national security briefings.
Yeah,
the Democratic candidate.
Well, I mean,
their hands.
The downside of it, of course, is James Clapper is one of them. So
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get the guy who was one of them to actually, take on and actually do something like this? That in and of itself, even though the idea is great and probably very practical and legal, I mean, there's enough here. For instance, just the idea that Comey laid out that, okay, he doesn't know if Hillary's emails got hacked or not, but they do know that her associates, the ones she was conversing with, got hacked. Okay? So that in and of itself is a compromise. All right? Now, when you want to say, okay, well, guilt by association, well, yeah, it is guilt by association. But the whole point being is, the point behind this, I guess the negative of this is, would you be able to get somebody like James Clapper to agree to do it? Any more than you would get Loretta Lynch to seek charges against Hillary for excessive excessive carelessness.
Or just unsophistication.
Yeah, or being unsophisticated, okay? Now, number 2 here, the FBI interview with Clinton determined that Clinton did not lie to the FBI, which can only point to the single fact that Clinton did lie to Congress while under oath during the Benghazi hearing. Now, this is the avenue that it looks like the committee wants to go down. They want the FBI to investigate whether Hillary Clinton lied to the Benghazi committee.
Ooh.
Okay, now, again, a practical idea in and of itself, if we were dealing with anybody with any integrity in any of the departments out there. Okay, but you're not dealing with that. And so what you're going to get into is another long, drawn-out argument that Comey put out there. Did she know she was doing something wrong?
Yes, and let's just keep this fact in mind. This is almost a year and a half in the making, this investigation they did into her emails that Comey just completed and gave us his recommendation to Lynch. So it's a year and a half. So are we going to wait another year and a half to do this?
And that's the whole point. Either one of these two options puts us in that twilight zone known as bureaucracy. And Clinton will have finished out her first term before anything is decided one way or the other.
Yeah, we'll be. There'll actually be fires in the streets, and that's what we're going to use for street lights by the time we're done.
Yeah. So now, fact number 3 is Comey, by not charging Clinton or recommending that she be charged, it made it possible to completely bypass the Department of Justice. Well, that's redundant, actually. All you're doing is you're going to go to the NSA and try to do something there. You're going to go to the FBI, do something there. It's just, okay, you've avoided one bureaucracy to go down the road with 2 others. Okay, so, ideally, I read this thing and I go, yeah, these are all good points, but they're completely moot and irrelevant in the face of everything that we know to be true today, and that is there's no level of government that hasn't been tainted in one way or another to different degrees. Okay, some of them are more corrupt. The Department of Justice, of course, is just outright corrupt. The IRS, yes, outright corrupt.
Yes.
The FBI, well, corrupt enough.
Politicized.
Yeah, okay.
At least at the top levels.
Yeah, okay. And then fact number 4, during the hearing, Comey made it very clear to Congress how to compile the 2 different statements made by Clinton in both investigations into one. Well, I don't give Congress credit or the credibility to be able to do that.
No.
I think many of them probably still haven't found where the bathrooms are at yet. They don't know how to put anything together in any cohesive manner or form. You've got little strokes of brilliance in there. I think Trey Gowdy is an intelligent man, but I wouldn't give 2 cents for his ability to accomplish anything. He's shown that a year and a half, 2.5. Well, he's been over the Benghazi thing for over a year. Issa had it before him.
And he's been here since Boehner appointed him chairman of this committee to go ahead and investigate Benghazi. But these guys are more worried about getting elected.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious when you're watching them. It's like, yeah, it's nice, but what's in the back of your mind? Do I have enough money to get reelected?
Well, I know if this was true, if we just went hypothetical and said, yeah, this was Comey's intent, or maybe he didn't intend it and just worked out that way. But let's be kind of super conspiracy guy right now. And Comey decided, well, how am I going to tell the American public that Hillary Clinton is everything they think she is, and not get myself involved to the degree of having to subject America's first half-white president to questioning and possible testimony, to then put somebody like Hillary Clinton into the White House, and anybody that gets involved with her is going to be in a crosshairs. I mean, who in their right mind is going to want to step out into the political arena as a public employee, as one serving within these departments somewhere, and come against the power machine that these people have accumulated over 40, 50 years?
You mean just the little people, the commoners, the people, the populist, the populist that Hillary Clinton has become? Because she's nothing more than a populist now. She's for the little guy.
Yeah, a progressive that likes to get things done.
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you going to stand up to that? I don't think Comey had that going on. I think he was conflicted because he knew what he had to do, which was what he was supposed to do was stand up for America, the nation, not the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party, not the Attorney General, not Barack Obama. He was supposed to investigate for America, the nation. And he decided to go, well, I don't want to be accused the guy that stopped Hillary Clinton from getting elected. I don't want to be that guy.
Right. Yeah, and I don't want to be the guy that possibly taints Barack Obama's legacy.
Oh my goodness! So now what did he do? He set up the fact that up there's Hillary Clinton, and then over to the other side, just a little bit over to the right side of Hillary Clinton is the rest of everybody else, the little people, the peons. That's how you get judged. Hillary's over there. Hillary and people like Hillary are over on this other side, and they get judged differently.
Yeah. Now I'm just saying this. I'm just for a moment here, and don't let this get too ingrained into your thought process. Okay. But just for a moment here, we play the advocate for James Comey, and we says, yeah, this is brilliant. He knew how he was going to be able to sidestep all this stuff, but yet give everything that was needed for somebody else to pick up the ball and run with it.
And remain employed?
And remain employed.
I mean, because really, is that what he's really worried about, staying employed? I think what he has to realize that I don't believe that Hillary Clinton's going to keep him occupied, just gainfully employed while she's in her occupied reign, if God forbid it happens.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you want to have to sit down with your boss every day, the one that you told everybody, 300 million people across this country and then how many around the world, that your boss is not sophisticated enough to recognize a classified document?
Well, let's put it like this: your boss is too stupid to use email.
Yeah. Now, so I would not be surprised if this guy retires before his tenure is up.
He should. I think he does realize that. So no matter how this went, he was going to be out of a job soon.
Yeah, he is. And so anyway, let's just say that James Comey was, he had this brilliant stroke of genius, and he decides, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay it all out for Congress and be able to pass it over to them, and I'll be able to walk away from this, minimum amount of damage done to my reputation and my career and everything else. But even after listening during that hearing, he had to be walking out of the room shaking his head going, what a bunch of bleeping idiots.
I keep hearing Bugs Bunny go, what a maroon. I keep hearing, what a bunch of maroons.
Yeah. And just like, oh my God, maybe I should retire now because this is just, the inmates are running the asylum.
Probably going, you can't make this crap up, man. These guys are what a bunch of maroons.
No, this is more like I said, what I keep flashing back on is that movie Idiocracy.
Oh yeah.
Every time I hear some of these people talk, I just like, what? Oh yeah, that's Idiocracy, man. That listen to how some of the lines in that movie, the way people looked at things. I just like, oh man, if that's not indicative of what we're doing today.
Absolutely, it's kind of like wow. It's like let's water all our crops with Gatorade.
And we have the homosexual black president who dresses up like a WWF wrestler. I'm like, that's what we need. That's
what ballerina on the weekends.
That's what we've got. Anyway, brilliant if that was his intent.
Yeah, well, I don't
think that was intent. I think his intent was. Yeah, I think his intent was like you mentioned earlier. I just want out of this thing. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to be part of it.
It's funny that Mitch doesn't even want to take credit for it either. Yeah. Serious biz, she doesn't even want to take credit for it.
Everything is...
Jim Jordan was putting her to task today on. But we should probably talk about some of that after the break then.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But what I wanted to introduce before we do that is the Moat and Bailey concept here, so that when we play the clips and we talk about some of the other things that took place just today, you'll understand what we're talking about. Just think of it in terms of liberal doublespeak. We refer to that a lot in our show, but it's called Mott and Bailey. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
City Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
And we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. I want to get into this, cover the I don't know exactly how the foundation of everything that I want to that we need to talk about today, I believe, on the show, and it is this concept of called Moat and Bailey. You know, we're sitting here today, just today, and I'm sure this is widespread throughout the country. Many are calling for this political ceasefire here because Obama's down in Dallas, eulogizing the Dallas police officer that died last week. I believe George W. Bush was down there also, gave his eulogy, that kind of stuff. So we're kind of like, this has this little political ceasefire here while we're all mourning together as a country. And a lot of us are saying, it's time for prayer and it's time for unity, and let's break out our candles and our balloons and teddy bears and go to these different sites that are out there, and let's all get together, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and dream of a better day when there is no hatred, no heaven, no hell, all that other crap. I'm not playing into that. I refuse to play into that because it is it has become the common tradition in this country to do that. We'll all be, sorrowful and remorseful and everything today, and tomorrow we'll be right back at what we're doing, and that is trying to take care of our own lives in the midst of a fundamental transformation that is just destroying the very fiber of who we are as a nation and a people. I'm not into the fake stuff. I'm not into the feel-good stuff. I'm not, one of the things, I see it here in the city I live in. We see it a lot out here. We have a lot of gangs out here. People get shot, and these little, what do you want to call it? These little cathedrals are set up all over the place. Candles and balloons and all the other crap. I don't buy into that stuff. I'm sorry. You may think I'm insensitive. It's a bunch of crap. I can understand the families, but how is it that somebody that you've never even heard of, never even knew existed until the day they got shot, all of a sudden you have some kind of empathy with them? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't believe it. I think it's this general attitude in America today that we're all scared crapless. And we'll try to overcome it by trying to present some facade of unity and understanding when that's not the problem. Nobody wants to get to the core of the problem, and the core of the problem are the idiots that are carrying the narrative that brings all this division about, that brings all this violence about, and will stand down in a eulogy down in Dallas and tell us that he knows this is not America because I know what America looks like. I'm sorry, I don't buy that for 1 minute. Barack Obama knows dilly squat about what America looks like, other than what he thinks it should be. Here's a man that believes that we are oppressors, has spent his entire administration traveling around the world apologizing for everything that's happened in the last 240 years to anybody that feels just the least bit slighted, and yet tell me that he understands what it means to be an American? I'm sorry. Don't buy it. And if you buy it, you're a fool. And I know it sounds insensitive, but I don't play the game. We're too far gone here to be sitting here stroking each other with false promises of peace and unity when what has to be happen is the other side needs to be taken out. They need to be taken out, and I don't mean physically. They need to be removed from office. They need to be removed from the public square. Their narrative needs to be destroyed, and they need to do what most Americans should be doing. Either live with what you've got or get out. Go someplace else that will accept, and go over to Switzerland or Finland. Go over to some of these other countries. Go over to Brussels. Go over to Germany, where the people think that they're still accomplishing something as everybody's getting their heads blown off. I'm sorry, I just don't go for it anymore. I'm not going for it. So, having said that, I want to talk about this article. I ran across this article over the weekend, and I looked at it several times. I read through it, and when I first read it, I just thought, nice little piece here. But as I got more and more in, reading it a couple of times, I realized, this guy's onto something. His name is David French. He published this at National Review, and it's about Black Lives Matter. And the article is called "Black Lives Matter: Radicals Using Moderates to Help Tear America Apart." Now, David French he's an attorney, and he writes for National Review. I'm going to read you the first couple paragraphs here, and then I'll get Joe's take on this, and then we'll get into what this whole concept of Moat and Bailey is about, because that's what we're seeing today from the left. It's Moat and Bailey, and you'll understand as we get more into this topic. And then we're gonna give you examples. Some of the examples just from today, of what Moat and Bailey, what it looks and sounds like. He says, "What is Black Lives Matter? Yesterday, I heard from a number of evangelicals who would answer the question like this: It's a peaceful movement of men and women who aren't saying that only Black Lives Matter, but rather reminding a nation still burdened by the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow and persistent reality of contemporary discrimination that Black lives also matter. That Black men and women should be treated with equal dignity in every quarter of American life, including by law enforcement. This version of Black Lives Matter wants a transparency, accountability, and assurances that police abuse and violence will be fairly and partially investigated, not swept under the rug by the blue wall of silence. This version of Black Lives Matter seeks basic police reforms, such as body cameras, ending stop and frisk, or retraining police on de-escalation measures that it believes will go a long way towards existing tensions between the police and the Black community. Whether it is right or wrong, this version of Black Lives Matter is reasonable, peaceful, and worth engaging on the merits of their proposals." Now, this is what the left will tell you Black Lives Matter is about. But he goes on to say, but that's not the only version of Black Lives Matter. Existing side by side with the millions of Americans who express the sentiments above is an extraordinarily radical organization, along with a persistent strain of violence that if present at conservative events, such as Tea Party rallies or pro-life vigils, would completely discredit the movement. Consider the last 5 days. In Dallas, a Black terrorist opens fire on police, killing 5 in the worst police massacre since 9/11. In Tennessee, a Black man who claimed to be motivated by police violence against African Americans opened fire on a highway, killing a woman and injuring 3 others, including a police officer. In Missouri, a Black motorist ambushed a white police officer at a traffic stop, shooting the officer in the neck and leaving him fighting for his life. Also in Missouri, a young Black man threw a planter through the front door of an off-duty police officer's home and advanced to the house while the officer's wife, mother-in-law, and young children tried to escape through a back window. The officer opened fire and killed the intruder. He apparently targeted the home after an online argument over Black Lives Matter. In Minnesota, Black Lives Matter protesters attacked police with rocks, bottles, and other items, injuring 21, including an officer who suffered a broken vertebrae after a concrete block was dropped on his head. He goes on to say, this is a partial list, not counting the lawless protests that blocked interstates, bridges, and other roads across the United States. We had out here in Inglewood over the weekend. They did it. They blocked the freeway and disrupted traffic and everything else, creating a number of inherently dangerous confrontations between protesters, motorists, and police. And this is only a partial list. Want to know what Black Lives Matter think about the nuclear family? Consider a statement on so-called black villages. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, and especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Do you want? And it goes on, and it gives these different examples of what Black Lives Matter are doing out there in cyberspace, the type of internet websites and stuff like that they have out there, and all of them are about violence, about radicalization, about taking everybody out that isn't black. That's really what it's all about. Now, I said all that to say this. I'm basically quoting you the article verbatim because he says it better than I would, okay? So he says, I ask again, what is Black Lives Matter? Conservatives, especially academic conservatives, are accustomed to a form of argument called moat and bailey. Based on an old form of community fortification, the bailey is the pleasant place where people work. The moat is the strong place they retreat to when attacked. Applied to argument, the bailey represents your expansive desired idea. The moat is the idea you retreat to when you're attacked. When you repel the attack, then you go back out to your bailey, making the same arguments you couldn't defend earlier. We're going to expound on that when we get back here. We're at a break. We're at a break here, and when we get back, I want to get Joe's take on this before we go on. All right? Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Real conservative talk from real conservatives. We want to encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and pick up any and all of our shows out there. Find out what you want to know about our panel members, what we do, why we do it, theconservativesyndicate.net. Now, before I expound a little bit more on this idea of what they call moat and bailey, and that is the interchangeability of a position. And what the writer is talking about here is you have a soft position, and then you have the harder, more radical position. And you use the soft position to soften people up. And then you use the radical, hardcore position to appeal to the true believers within that segment. And then if it gets too hot and too heated, you retreat back to the soft message so that nobody can actually, it kind of disarms and it neutralizes the attack. Because then people they're lulled back into that soft, little fuzzy kumbaya mental state that many Americans today are retreating to because they don't want to face what's going on out there. They don't want to acknowledge or admit that we're in the face of a massive transformation of America that's taking place from within the very system that was designed to protect it. And nobody wants to respond to that. It's too complicated. It's too heated. It's too politically, damaging. It's too much to deal with. Just leave me alone. I'm trying to pay for my new car. That kind of thing. So, Joe, you got any comments here before I go a little bit more into detail here?
Yeah, let me just give you an example of what you're trying to talk about today. And Barack Obama did it today, as usual, as he normally does. He's not the great uniter; he's the great divider, and he did it today at the memorial service for these slain officers in Dallas. Now, let me read you something from Ben Shapiro that was done in the Daily Wire today. It said on Tuesday, President Obama descended on Dallas to hijack the memorial service of 5 slain officers today. That's what he was saying. Okay, I mean, he had planned to do this for days. His White House stated in advance that Obama would get political. Okay, we understood that was probably going to happen no matter what. All right. But for the first few minutes of Obama's address, it appeared that he might take stock of the moment and hold himself back. Here are some of the worst moments. Highly political, egregiously inappropriate address. And here's one of the things. So as he's talking about unity and everything else, that would be Barack Obama doing the moat thing. All right. But then he gets into his Bailey syndrome here, and here's an example of the Bailey we're talking about here, equating the murders of the Dallas police officers with the killings of Alton Sterling and Florida Castillo. This is a trap which the left has fallen consistently this week. It's lazy thinking, and more importantly, it's morally repugnant. The police officers murdered in Dallas were targeted because of their race. We know that for a fact. That's not speculation. They were targeted because they were white. We know virtually nothing about Alton Sterling and Florida Castillo cases. The police alleged that Sterling resisted arrest and reached for a gun he was carrying illegally. We have no evidence yet as to what happened with Mr. Castillo, but there's certainly no evidence to say that it was racially motivated, that it was a racially motivated shooting. Nonetheless, Obama says this: I see people who mourn for the 5 officers we lost, but also weep for the families of Alton Sterling and Mr. Castillo. In this audience, I see what's possible. Yeah, killings are equal, but to Obama, targeted killings of whites is equivalent to police killing blacks in disputed circumstances. That's example one. This other one goes exactly what you were reading here today, John. And this was suggesting that today's police departments are still rife with the legacies of slavery and Jim Crow. It's now 2016. Arrest statistics match precisely with the crime report statistics. There's no evidence of systematic discrimination against minorities. But that doesn't stop Obama from saying, we also know that centuries of racial discrimination, of slavery, of subjugation, and Jim Crow, they did not simply vanish with the law against segregation. We know that bias remains. We know it, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, or Asian, or Native American, or Middle Eastern descent. We've all seen this bigotry in our own lives at some point. We've heard it in our own heard it at times in our own homes. No institution is entirely immune, and that includes our police departments. We know this.
Okay, now let's take those two things right there. The first one is the Bailey. Oh no, I'm sorry. The first one is the moat.
I'd say they're both the Bailey. He was in the moat before he started saying these things.
Okay,
he was in there setting these up, and then he brings these things out.
Right,
he was
yeah.
Going, how awful it is to be here today, blah, blah, blah.
He does. But
Shapiro didn't go into that part. He just went right into the Bailey parts.
Right, but look at how the two interact with each other.
Yes.
And when he's talking about equating the murders of the Dallas police officers with the killings of the 2 gentlemen in respective states, Louisiana and Missouri, I think the other one was. Okay, what's he started doing? He starts out with the moat, which is where you go when you're attacked. It's the safe space.
Well, he's setting people up. He's being the soft guy.
So what you're trying to do, you're getting ready to lower the boom, but you want to bring everybody to the same place mentally.
Yeah.
So you build this little thing of what he's basically saying is shooting is bad, killing is bad, violence is bad, and it doesn't matter whether it's cops or citizens. But then turn right around and say, here it is. But the thing is that the motivation behind, see, this is part of the thing, part of the leftist argument, is to not really ever identify something for what it really is. Okay? The shooting of the cops was racially motivated. We know that because the guy said, I'm looking for white guys to kill. The other two guys...
And police. Specifically. He specifically targeted these people. White cops.
Right. Now, let's take the Philando Castile guy, the guy that was Facebook, the Facebook video of him dying in the back seat.
Yeah.
Okay? The girl, as she's talking, said that the cop pulled him over for a busted taillight. He didn't see them driving in the car and say, oh, there's a couple of black people I can pull over. He pulled them over for a legitimate reason. They had a busted taillight in the car. She said that. So you can't sit there and say that is the equivalent to a cop profiling somebody and pulling them over because of their race and deciding to shoot them.
Because of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow.
Right. And now the lady in the Facebook video, I watched this video, and in the Facebook video, she said her boyfriend, told the officer that he had a gun.
Yes.
And that he had a concealed, I've got a gun, but I've got a license to carry. And that, now the argument is, he said, well, I need ID. She says he reached for ID, and the cop thought he was reaching for the gun, and the cop shot him. Now, we don't even know if that's really what happened. She's giving a step-by-step thing here, because she didn't start taping it until after he was shot.
Yes.
So we don't know exactly what brought it all about. But the point being is that if the guy thought he was pulling a gun, that wasn't based on whether the guy was black or white or anything else. It was I thought he was pulling a gun.
Well, the thing is, the bottom line is we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But
just like with the other, like with Ferguson, which started this whole Black Lives thing, which is really based on a lie, we didn't know. Then to come to find out, just like in Ferguson, hey, what you were told, what you thought, what you were freaking out about, what you were gathering in the streets and burning down your damn city about was wrong. You were wrong. You were incorrect. You were lied to, or you just didn't want to listen to the truth, one or the other.
Right. So here's the Bailey here. The Bailey is the pleasant place. He starts out with the Bailey. We're all the same. We're all this, that, and the other. He goes into the Moat, which is a strong place, but it's all race generated. And then he gets into the Jim Crow, which is back into the safe space. Because now you can talk about things that nobody's been alive around to even witness. And you can categorize it and classify it as anything you want. Now we go back to, we're sitting here now. Now we're talking about Jim Crow. Who even knows what Jim Crow is anymore? I mean, I'm sure there are some people that do. Well, I know it has to do with labor laws or discrimination in the workplace and stuff like that.
Well, there's more than that, especially down here in the South. It was way more than that. It was like, hey, definitely, you can't go in this movie theater. You can't sit at this lunch counter. You can't use this water fountain. You can't use this restroom. You can't do this. All based on, the color. That's right. That was in the South, the democratically led South.
Yeah. And the idea being is he's trying to mesh everything together.
He's equating that with officers being killed by a black anti-cop, anti-white racist.
Yeah.
At their memorial service, no less.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go to a break here. We're at that place. We got to go to a break. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to get more into this when we come back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative.
Between President Obama and Mrs. Clinton, America is in a very dangerous position. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it's bad enough that President Obama has whittled down our one-time totally superior military to levels below that of before World War II. During the period of time Ali Obama took to dismantle America's military prowess, highly competitive nations like China, Russia, North Korea, and even Iran have built up their militaries that now dwarf our one-time vastly superior armed forces. When one considers Mrs. Clinton's rampant mishandling of thousands of emails, at least 100 of which were classified and were most likely hacked and acquired by enemy nations and even terrorist groups, the FBI director chose to give Mrs. Clinton a pass despite what he described as gross negligence. But I have a big problem with that because in this case of gross negligence, our republic could be more vulnerable than ever to the blackmailing of American political figures and undetected military aggression. That should have been given more consideration, considering the fact that Mrs. Clinton could be chosen as leader of the free world. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back. Hour 2 here at the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are certainly very glad that you joined us today. And I'm really hoping that you pick something up out of what we're talking about here today. We're not really talking about any particular issue, but we are talking strategy, and we are talking tactics, how issues are used as tactics to advance a strategy or an agenda. And in the case of Barack Obama, of course, it's the fundamental transformation of the United States of America from a republic to some type of collective democracy, socialism, Marxism, communist hybrid of one form or another, a little bit of every element. Obama is not really tied to any one particular ideology other than collectivism. And how whatever works. You know, that's the thing with him. And he's not afraid to dance around with it one way or the other.
I think his ultimate goal is to have the government ultimate power to do whatever it wants in your life, whether it be big, small, medium-sized, anything. Swear, you got too much salt in your diet, you can drink a big soda, you must have this kind of toilet. We must control, as we've been saying, and Hillary Clinton's been doing it. I know we said it on the show before that they want to nationalize the police force. What do you think that we need national police standards is?
Oh yeah. We want to nationalize education. We want to nationalize the healthcare system. We want to nationalize the police force. And if you got everything nationalized, there is no individuality anymore. And the promise is what? You don't have to be responsible. You don't have to be accountable. Just let us do it all for you.
Oh, yeah, you got a problem with with the police department? Don't go down to City Hall and talk to the mayor who hired the police. Come to the federal government, and we'll take care of it for you. Are you kidding me? It's just, and the 10th Amendment, what's that? That's just number 10 in the Bill of Rights. We don't need no stinking 10th Amendment. You states, you're just here. You're just spots on the map for Washington, D.C. to control.
Yeah, and actually, this is wasn't this the original argument back in the day when the country was being established, and the big debate was whether we needed a Bill of Rights. That was the big debate, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was James Madison who believed that the Bill of Rights was inconsequential because the Constitution had limited federal government to such a degree that we didn't have to worry about the federal government trying to do anything.
I don't know if it was him or not.
He might have been the one that was carrying the argument that the Bill of Rights was necessary, but there was one on one side.
I could tell you this, though. Without the Bill of Rights, the Constitution was never going to get ratified. So without the Bill of Rights, we wouldn't have the Constitution.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying... if my history is correct, and I can't remember who was on which side of the debate.
Yeah, I don't recall either. I don't want to really say, yeah. But yes, I do recall one of them. But I do recall, I know for a fact that without it, it was never going to be ratified.
Yeah, and maybe I'll look that up sometime here just to get the facts straight. But I know that the big argument about the Constitution was the reason it wasn't going to be ratified. Had much to do with the idea of the Bill of Rights. So saying the one argument was, okay, the Constitution, the way it is written, is sufficient in and of itself to limit federal government. We don't have to worry about that. And now I'm thinking about it. I think it was James Madison that actually carried the opposite argument and said, no, if we do not identify what these rights are, then the federal government will try to take over eventually.
Absolutely. And that's what governments do. Governments are there to get bigger.
Yeah, I just can't remember who was the other side of that argument.
The thing was they wanted it put down on paper. These are rights that we will have, and they wanted them spelled out. So they were written down. So it is the supreme law of the land, by the way. So boom, that is there.
Yeah. So now let's get back to this Moat and Bailey concept here.
Yeah.
As I said in the first hour here, this is the way it works. The Bailey is where you want to go when you want to expound and expand upon your idea. Let's say for the context of our conversation today, it is the extreme. It's where you really want to go. It's the end game. Okay, the Bailey is the end game.
Yes.
Okay, the moat is where you go when you need to back off from the end game because it's bringing too much heat.
Yes, you want to be reasonable and bipartisan.
Yeah. You want to go back to the original argument that gets people into the conversation to begin with. Barack Obama comes out with this whole idea, hope and change. Okay, that was his campaign. We're going to make everything so transparent, and we're going to unify the country, and we're going to stop all the things that have made this country has kept this country from becoming the great country it's supposed to be. And then you get into the end game. Well, what has made this country as great and everything and as powerful? Well, it's been oppression of other societies. It's been capitalism run amok, big corporations making millions on the backs of the poor, and of course the socioeconomic disparity and all these other things. There's your Bailey. What we want to do is we want to transform the entire system of government, because we don't feel that it is achieving what we think it should achieve, which is the utopian concept of collectivism, that everything should be equal.
So their plan now is to tear it down completely, down to the ground, burn it all to the ground, and then arrogantly they say, we got a plan to make it better.
Right.
But they have to tear it down first.
So they dance back and forth between the Bailey and the moat. And the moat is when you hear things like today, the attempt to sound American, to sound like we're united, that we can overcome all things because we're Americans, and then to turn right around after you got everybody lulled into a state of complacency. Now you hit them with the hard stuff. But by the way, killing cops is understandable because there's been racism in this country and Jim Crow laws and all these things still exist, and we haven't done anything. We haven't done enough to stop it. Okay? And then you do what? You retreat back to the moat. The moat is what? But as Americans, we can come together and we can overcome this. I know what American is, and I know what it looks like, and I know how great we could be. And then he dances back into the Bailey. But we really suck. Okay.
Yeah, remember the one. But that's not who we are.
Yeah, that's not who we are. Yeah. And it's just not. These aren't the values that represent us. So it's back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know how any liberal today listens to this stuff on a regular basis doesn't blow their head off. Believe it. Listen to it and believe it. If you believe it, you should. If you're not contemplating suicide, I don't know what to say, because to a reasonable mind, this is just it's erratic. And it's just insane. It's delusional.
It's psychotic is what it is.
Yeah, it's psychotic. We got to go to a break here. We're going to play Moments of Madness for you. I got a new one here. It's a little bit long, but I think you'll enjoy it. So we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, on Moments of Madness. FBI Director James Comey's decision to avoid displacing Donald Trump as America's #1 racist sexist by choosing not to recommend criminal charges for gross negligence be brought against presumptive presidential nominee Hillary Clinton may indeed be mystifying and confusing to House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and other Republican members of the committee. Given the GOP's disconnect with their constituents, it's not all that surprising. Likewise, among constituents who argued term limits is the only answer for complacency that breeds corruption, Comey's sidestepping of the obvious by responding Clinton may not have been sophisticated enough to recognize she was breaking the law in response to members of the committee like North Carolina's Representative Mark Meadows, who stated as someone who has only been here a few years, he recognizes and understands the importance of classified markings, along with Wyoming's Cynthia Loomis's bewildering comment, how could she not know this stuff? Coupled with South Carolina's Trey Gowdy's assertion, Clinton perjured herself on enough occasions to establish willful intent, and hiding treasonous malfeasance is as frustrating as it gets. But all this bewilderment, wonder, and frustration is not as befuddling as GOP operatives are expressing, or the media lapdogs want us to believe. Comey's decision really should not surprise anyone who spends any time surveying the toxic cloud that hangs over Washington, D.C., like discolored smog encompassing Los Angeles after too many days without rain to cleanse the air. Comey's presumption, no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case against Clinton based on the historical precedent. No one has been prosecuted in nearly a century under the definition of the statute Clinton may have violated, is rightfully recognized as the weakest of excuses, especially when challenged by committee members who stated they knew plenty of attorneys who would take the case. But when placed in context by qualifying it during the hearing, no prosecutor for the Justice Department would take on such a case, it becomes quite understandable. Who would agree to put their employer on trial, especially this employer? Agreeing to prosecute Hillary Clinton would place America's first half-white president squarely in the crosshairs of his opponents, as he would certainly be interviewed and even possibly asked to testify. This puts at risk the legacy of Obama, who for all intended purposes is headed to world domination at the UN after he leaves office next year. Such circumstances may not prevent Obama from eventually touting his hope and change globalization agenda as the way to unify the world's tyrants, but it might delay it. Does anyone really think in today's political reality any attorney hoping to make a career in political law would risk their future taking on their current boss, much less face the prospect of having to deal with their future boss, one who has a history of destroying everything she lays her hand to, including the long list of those who no longer dwell on this earth due to their association with the Clintons? Can we really blame FBI Director Comey to suddenly give a hoot about politics? Here's the madness. Just as the Committee on Benghazi muffed bringing justice to the families of those killed in Benghazi by focusing on stand-down orders that may or may not have been given or may not have saved lives, instead of focusing on the gun running to Syrian dissidents that would have better revealed the intent of Obama's refusing to act for fear of reprisal in the 2012 election, the House Oversight Committee will focus on perjury charges that will only lead back to a subjective argument of intent, one guaranteed to just make the GOP look even more politically inept. Of much more concern to the committee should be Comey's assessment of Hillary's qualifications. Comey testified before the Oversight Committee his unwillingness to recommend indicting Clinton was more guided by his perception her understanding of protocol and recognition of classified information may have lacked the sophistication necessary in the handling of such information. In other words, the intent her opponents want established is canceled out by her lack of knowledge in regard to what she knew and did not know. Whether or not this assessment is true or accurate is inconsequential. Comey's assessment is a double-edged sword that, if brandished properly, would cut both ways in the court of public opinion, the only court at this point that matters. Continuing to disseminate Comey's remarks on Clinton's lack of sophistication through ads and weekend circuit soundbites will force Clinton to eventually admit one of two truths. Either she is sophisticated enough to know how to handle classified information, which would in turn validate the charge of perjury and establish intent to hide the truth, or support the contention she'd be disqualified for office if she and her supporters continue to claim she simply believed she did nothing wrong. Comey's presumption she lacks knowledge becomes a damning argument against the experience accredited to her 4+ decades in public service. In his speech, the last lecture, given at Carnegie Mellon University in 2008 and later expounded upon in his book by the same name, computer science professor Randy Pausch stated, "Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want." If Pausch's contention is true, then perhaps Hillary Clinton is indeed the most qualified person ever to run for political office. No one has done less longer than anyone else and has nothing to show for it. Hillary Clinton's tenure in politics can be best defined as doing the same thing over and over many times rather than producing results over many years of effort. In other words, Hillary Clinton actually has 1 year of experience 40+ times rather than 40+ years in public service. Her sophistication, or lack of it, is the most compelling choice before voters today. But alas, at this juncture, the most important question Clinton puts before the electorate is, at this point, what difference does it make? This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I know that was a little long-winded for a Moments of Madness, but There was no way of saying it any other way than the way I said it. It just turns out that way. But I hope you got something out of that, because I believe that's what's happening here. Once again, the GOP is going to muff up and bumble their way through and just completely screw up a golden opportunity. Let's just hope that Donald Trump stays true to his narrative, that he's not like the Republican Party, and he's able to pick up on this. I'm hoping his campaign manager and his strategists grab these clips from James Comey's testimony and just play them over and over and over again. You know, Donald, you don't even have to talk about what you want to do. You don't have to talk about, we don't have to look at your hair, we don't have to look at the ball caps or anything else. You just play these things over and over. I'm Donald Trump and I support this message, and just play it. Just blare it out there. She's not sophisticated enough. Sooner or later, see, the leftists, especially egotists like Clinton and Obama and people like this, if you insult them long enough and hard enough, sooner or later they'll come out and try to rebut the insults, and they end up letting the truth slip out. That's one thing about human nature. You can be a pathological liar, and you can be really good at it, but sooner or later everybody recognizes it as a lie. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. That's human nature. We recognize the evil in other people much quicker than we recognize the good. So, having said that, let's get back to our Moat and Bailey concept here, because there's so many examples just today. Joe was talking about a couple of things that took place down in Dallas. I want to just kind of step away from that just for a moment. We'll be back to revisit it here, because another example of the Moat and Bailey that we saw taking place today is Loretta Lynch in front of the Oversight Committee, sidestepping and just frustrating the hell out of Republicans. They're not able to get her to admit to anything, as if the idea that she would. I mean, she didn't get picked for the job because she doesn't know how to play politics, even though she keeps claiming that you guys are trying to politicize my office, you know?
Oh, geez, yeah. That's what she's done.
Yeah. So, Jay, you had a clip. You want to explain to our listeners what that's about?
Yeah, this clip was at this hearing today, and I believe it's with Jason Chaffetz, and he's asking her about security clearances and how to handle classified information. And I just thought this is like 26 seconds of, you got to be kidding me. And so this is just typical. This is typical of what she was doing today. So let me just play it, and then we can talk about Loretta and her performance today in front of Congress today.
Is it legal or illegal to share classified information with somebody who doesn't have a security clearance?
Congressman, it depends on the facts of every situation. You'd have to determine how that sharing occurred. You'd have to determine the means. You'd have to determine, the reason, the intent. Certainly, depending upon how you view the statute, it could go any number of ways.
Okay, let's just do this again. Let's just listen to the question again.
Is it legal or illegal to share classified information with somebody who doesn't have a security clearance?
Okay, is it legal or illegal to share information with somebody that doesn't have a proper clearance?
Yeah, and what's the answer? The answer is basically it all depends on what is.
Just mind-boggling to me. It's not. Look, if you don't have the clearance, you don't have the need to know. No, you're not supposed to have the information. Period.
No, yeah, that's the whole basis on which clearances are issued, is the need to know. And if you don't need to know what's going on, then you don't have the clearance to access or gain access to the information that you don't need to know.
Absolutely. If you don't have a need to know, you don't get access to it. And if you don't have the need to know and someone gives you access to it, they are in the wrong. They have just committed a security violation. Now, depending on what information they let you have access to would depend on how bad the violation is. How bad the violation is, whether that's a federal crime, a felonious crime, if it's going to be just a little slap on the wrist kind of crime, but it's still a crime. You've broken the law.
Right. So let's take this this concept of Moat and Bailey and apply it here. The Bailey was the question. Jason Chaffetz he's got a desired idea. He's got a direct objective of asking a question: is it legal or illegal to share classified information with somebody who doesn't have a clearance? That's the Bailey.
Yeah.
Lynch uses the Moat. She retreats into the safety of an argument that most people would look at and say, oh, and it was the same argument that Comey used in several ways when he was also deflecting from whether or not, one, did Hillary Clinton lie? Well, I'm not. What did he say? I'm not sure she lied because I'm not sure she understood what she was doing.
Well, no, he said to the FBI.
Yeah, okay, to the FBI.
Did she lie to the FBI in the investigation we did?
Yeah, and then we get to the Bailey, which was the question: did she or did she not compromise classified information? Well, we don't know that she compromised it. We know that she was careless in disseminating it, and she knew that people were reading it that weren't supposed to be reading it, and we knew that she may or may not have known what she was doing. So we can't really establish attempt. There's the Moat. You're into that safe zone of trying to present an argument that the average person would say, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It all depends on what it depends on. It's all what is.
So let's listen to it again. Here's the Moat part of Loretta Lynch's answer today. Should someone that doesn't have security clearance have access to class or just information they shouldn't have access to?
Congressman, it depends on the facts of every situation. You'd have to determine how that sharing occurred. You'd have to determine the means. You'd have to determine, the reason, the intent. Certainly, depending.
The reason, the intent, really? No, you don't have to determine that. If you don't have access or not authorized access, you don't get access. And if you did, the person that allows you to have access is in trouble, as well as you for having access to it. Duh.
Yeah.
But nope, that's that's the answer she's given. That's the Moat.
And that is, as we were saying earlier, the idea here that the GOP is they're gonna seek, they want an investigation now on perjury charges. Did Hillary Clinton lie to the Benghazi committee about the classified information and everything else? Okay, this is the argument that they're going to present. Well,
this is funny too. The fact that you said that about the perjury to Congress. She was asked today, did Hillary Clinton lie? Okay, so she did not answer the question. But then again, let's remember one thing about because she was being asked about the 3-hour meeting that Hillary Clinton had on the Saturday before the 4th of July. She was asked about it. Let's remember one thing about this meeting that Hillary Clinton had, this 3-hour meeting that Loretta Lynch did not attend. Loretta Lynch let her underlings handle it because she didn't want to have the team tainted by anything. Hillary Clinton wasn't even put under oath when she was at this interview with the FBI.
Well, is this the same interview that she has been playing down in all the aspects of this? That her and the FBI have not been communicating with each other?
Well, no, this is the interview just before Comey came out and told us everything that they found out. This is the interview conducted on that Saturday.
Okay, so I guess my question is, the committee is asking Loretta Lynch about a meeting that took place between Hillary Clinton and the FBI.
That's correct.
Based on the premise that Loretta Lynch has been telling us that her and the FBI have not been talking to each other about this investigation at all.
Yeah, so they're asking her about that because remember that Loretta Lynch came out and said, hey, I'm going to accept whatever the FBI's findings are on this. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I get that. I'm
well, this is what Jim Jordan was trying to get out of her. Well, you said that before the FBI came out, not knowing what the FBI was telling us, not knowing what they had found out, not knowing anything about it, that you were just going to accept their recommendations without ever knowing what they would be.
Okay, and
to that question.
I'm trying to get to the more cutting truth here, that if she's being asked about the conversation took place between the FBI and Hillary Clinton before the announcement was made by James Comey as to whether or not he was going to recommend charges, then that means her and the FBI were conversing before this ruling was made, which means she lied about not conversing with the FBI.
Oh, but was she under oath or anything of the such? No, of course not. It's just a statement she made.
Yeah, and she did, I think she did concede that she came out and publicly said she would do whatever the FBI recommended.
Yes, in fact, she emphatically said that today in the hearing. That's why I did it, because I wanted it made known that I was going to follow that. And then Jordan was trying to pin her down and go, well, who made the ultimate decision not to press charges on Mrs. Clinton?
Yeah, and she, well, what I'm getting at here is she did, I believe, concede one point today, and that was that she decided to go along with whatever the FBI recommended because of the shadow, I think the word was used, that had been cast over her by meeting with Bill Clinton.
Yes, absolutely. But that still didn't answer that whole question.
Yeah, so that was the out. Okay, I painted myself into a corner, but still it does lead. She obviously knew what the recommendation or lack of recommendation was going to be before James Comey came out and said it. Otherwise, why would she be questioned about the content of the interview?
There you go. So let's go to the break and we'll talk more.
We got a break here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. See, like I said, you leave liberals long enough and you ask them enough times, sooner or later the truth comes out. You can only lie so many times, so many ways. The truth comes out eventually. We'll be right back.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830. 888-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. I want to get back to this concept of the Moat and Bailey, and then we're going to revisit some of the other comments that Obama made today to kind of give you more examples of what we're talking about. Like I said, I call this liberal doublespeak, and I've defined it many times on this show. Liberal doublespeak is the speaking of words that to the American ear hits a certain tone, a certain frequency, and has certain meaning to it that is exclusive to what it means to be an American, and yet means something completely different coming out of the mouths of somebody like a Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. I would say Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders doesn't hide who he is. I'll give him credit for that.
Well, he might have, John. Let's
yeah, you're right.
Fighting against the Wall Street corporates, funding political campaigns, and then he goes out and endorses Hillary Clinton today.
yeah, you're right. That
I
may
find
be
the hypocrisy and the irony on that just dripping. It's just, tastes so good.
So let me get back here to this article here that I was offering to you earlier, written by David French at National Review. I want to read a couple more paragraphs here just to kind of exemplify or expound upon what I'm talking about with this Moat and Bailey. Remember, the Bailey is the end game. It's where you want to end up at. It's what you really want to be saying to people. The Moat is where you retreat to when the Bailey becomes too hot to handle, and you got to step back. It's your process of letting your audience take a breather, and trying to get about, well, wait a minute, guys, but what we're really talking about here is equality and world peace and everything else. And I must have said something here was a little controversial, a little bit over the edge and everything. But the ends justifies the means, or the means justifies the end. I'm sorry, the means justify the end, and that's I don't know. The end justifies the means. I got it right first time. See, I'm doing a Moat and Bailey right here as we talk. Anyway, it says here. I'm going to read a couple more paragraphs.
Cool.
It says, in reality, Black Lives Matter has been playing a double game. It harbors, shelters, and empowers true radicals, people who not only have no problem seeing our cities burn, they're also fanning the flames. Yet it also counts as sympathizers the millions more who want no part of riots or police shootings. The moderates, however, can't purge the radicals because the radicals run the organization. They provide the energy, the activists, and the day-to-day protests. The moderates, meaning the people that would go along with the idea of peace, by contrast, rarely turn out. And when they do, they don't even understand the organization they support or know the voices they're truly magnifying. So let's visualize this. Black Lives Matter is basically a radical organization that is using Alinsky-style, Bill Ayers-style, Weather Underground-style tactics. You go out, you isolate a target, you demonize that target, and you just make so much noise that the target either concedes or is destroyed, one or the other. And what he's saying is the moderates, the people that sit at home and watch this stuff on the news and would side with it, and that would be too many Americans today that just watch this whole thing happening and go, Black Lives Matter, and you're throwing all these statistics at me, maybe Black lives, maybe blacks are more involved in crime, but that's because of their inner city conditions and the lack of equality and all the other things that go along in the narrative.
Well, those are the people that you see out there when you ask them, why are you out here protesting? They don't have any idea why they're out there.
Yeah, and likely these are the ones that show up at the Clinton campaign rallies. And you ask them, well, tell me something Clinton did. They can't tell you anything that she did. I said, this woman's got more experience doing nothing than anybody I've ever seen in politics. But back to my point here. The point being is that what we have here is this constant, when you see the people show up on Fox News or CNN or whatever, the representatives of Black Lives Matter, and you listen to them talk, and it's all about, protesting and peaceful protesting and doing this, that, and the other. But what it's really about is the destruction. It's more like the weather underground. We need to burn it down to the ground. We need to burn it to the ground. And most of the people that agree with the peaceful concept of making your voice heard, that kind of thing, they really have no idea what's going on. And once they find themselves in the middle of it, they're looking around going, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. But you can't do anything about it because the calm and peaceful people aren't running the show.
That's right. It's too late.
It's too late. You're either part of the movement, and now you risk ostracization if you turn around and when you're an Uncle Tom now. If you're a black person and you're out there with Black Lives Matter and you realize, wait a minute, this is about violence. This is about destruction. These guys are as racist as anybody they're protesting against. And you try to walk away from something like that and watch what happens to you. Watch what happens to you. Now, having said all that, Joe was touching earlier on an article that he pulled up from Ben Shapiro about some of the things that Obama said today, the politicizing of cops being killed in Dallas by a racist. I'm looking at stuff today now. They're trying to clarify to us why what this man did is not terrorism. Okay, it's not terrorism, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm not going to get into it, but it's we're worried about the labels now. We're worried about the labels flying around because it was a black man who perpetrated this crime on white police officers. And that has to be neutralized somehow. That has to be watered down and diluted so that people don't get caught in the idea or start entertaining the idea that maybe racism goes both ways. And by the way, maybe blacks are being exploited by blacks as well as whites to advance this agenda of fundamental transformation, nationalization of every major aspect of law enforcement and every other aspect of our government. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I mean, it's just funny how Mr. Obama does these things, and he just goes in and out. It's just so he's so good at it, but you don't really catch what it is. But it is very, very telling what he's doing. I mean, he defends the Black Lives Matter agenda. Shapiro goes on to say, Dallas police officers were defending the protesters. Yes, they were. They were out there They were at the scene while at this Black Lives Matter protest, and they were making sure that these people were safe. Nothing was going to happen. If any anti-protesters were there to make sure that they didn't clash and make sure that they kept the peace. That's what the police officers were there. And some of these protesters in the Black Lives Matter protests were even mocking them as black anti-white, and they were mocking them as a black anti-racist was shooting at them. But that doesn't stop Obama from backing the protesters' event without any evidence. He said, when this takes place, more than 50 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, we cannot simply turn away and dismiss those in peaceful protest as troublemakers or paranoid. We can't simply dismiss it as a symptom of political correctness or reverse racism. You have to experience to have your experience denied like that, dismissed by those in authority, dismissed perhaps even by your white friends and co-workers and fellow church members again and again and again. It hurts. Surely we can see that, all of us.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
It hurts.
It's all about the feelings again. We're all about the feelings.
It can't be a symptom of political correctness or reverse racism.
Yeah. Reverse racism doesn't exist.
It's racism. Nothing reverse about it.
Yeah. I like how he goes on and talks about the fact that he says anybody lying about Obamacare is a kook. Tea Partiers are terrorists, but we can't label this guy a terrorist because his beef was legitimate.
Yeah, he says he's happy to deny the experiences of people who actually know what's going on in government, but insists we legitimize the feelings of people who ascribe to nasty motives to the cops without evidence beyond the anecdotal.
Yeah, the whole idea here,
they've been told.
The quickness was with which Obama jumps on the race bandwagon when it has to do with blacks being victimized, but when anybody else is victimized, we can't be harsh. We can't be quick to judgment. We got to hold judgment back. That's what he's doing here. We got to go to our quick break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
All right, here we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we're talking about what is referred to by Jim French over at National Review. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim French over at National Review.
David
the Moat
French.
and Bailey. Yeah, the Moat and Bailey routine. This is what the left uses.
David French. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's finding that sweet spot that you can get everybody kind of swaying to the mantra, and then injecting your end game agenda, and then if it gets too hot, you just kind of lead everybody back to the to that little campfire where we're all sitting around singing Kumbaya, holding hands, and just wishing and imagining a world with no borders and no heaven and no hell.
And what you tell people doesn't have to be true either.
No, it doesn't. It just has to work.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be true. It just like you said, like the Obamacare. You like your plan, you can keep your plan. It doesn't have to be true. Look, like today, at the memorial service for the 5 slain, assassinated policemen in Dallas, Texas, Barack Obama comes out and says this: "We flood communities with so many guns that it's easier for a teenager to buy a Glock than get his hands on a computer or even a book."
Yeah, now, and that is a rehashed statement. He has said that in more than one time.
Yeah, and really, are you kidding me? To even come out with that, as Shapiro goes, he goes, as I wrote today, you had to be dropped on your head as a small child to believe this. That's absolutely right, because this is absolutely false.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if that's the case, then Obama, your program to give everybody free iPads and phones isn't working either.
It's just absurdly false, but yet it doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe what we should be doing is giving everybody free Glocks. Maybe that's the answer. But I know that during the speech, because he specifically singled out Texas, because they allow people. He even mentioned, well, there were people at the protest carrying guns. Oh, yeah, they had a permit. So you know what that indicates to me? See, remember how he always tells us? He always says to us, here's the moat, and here's the Bailey.
Yeah.
Okay, the moat is he's not trying to take away the Second Amendment.
I'm not trying to take away your guns. People say I'm trying to do.
And what is the other part of that? Responsible gun owners all believe that we should have expanded background checks, and we're not. There's a response. We're trying to keep it out of the hands of the irresponsible and the mentally deranged and the radicalized. Okay, but now he turns right around and targets Texas in this speech about the idea that they're allowed to carry guns in public. There's the Bailey. Okay, there's the end game. He wants everybody disarmed, and so he stepped right into it. The mode of the whole thing is, well, I'm not trying to circumvent the Constitution and take away your rights to own a gun. Everybody should be able to have a gun to go out and target practice and shoot deer. But he then comes down to Texas and says, and makes mention specifically of the fact that there were people in the protest who had permits to carry guns and were carrying guns. And in Texas, there's all kinds of guns around here because you guys are allowed by law to carry them. There's the Bailey. There's an agenda.
And there is your 10th Amendment right there. If that's what you want in your state of Texas, you should be allowed to have that. The federal government should not put its nose into your business. If that's what you want in your state, you should be allowed to have that. If you don't want to have that in your state, that's fine. You could be California then, okay? Where even spelling the word gun or chewing a Pop-Tart into a shape of a gun is illegal.
Now, taking this, I'm going to step right.
Let me just mention one more time again where he was at. He was at a memorial service for these slain officers.
Right, right.
He's out there politicizing this at that service. Just this man, he's got cojones for our Spanish friends.
Well, he is a very despicable creature. Just despicable. The only one I can think right now more despicable than him is the one that's running to take his place.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is just just really.
Yeah.
And it goes down to the point. He is supposed to be president of the United States. That means everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Not just the selected classes of people that he's favored.
Now, I want to take a few minutes here. I'm going to step off the edge here.
Okay.
And we're going to go kind of in a little different direction. Something that Joe and I have been floating on this show, just sometimes just haphazardly, just kind of like off the cuff, maybe an afterthought or something like that. And that is when events like this happen, we often sometimes begin to wonder, well, what's going on while all this is happening?
Yes.
Okay, what's going on? And we've even entertained the idea that perhaps some of these events are orchestrated in such a way to detract or distract everybody from what's going on. The shiny object is floated out there while something else on the other side of the door is happening. Well, guess what's happening, folks? While all this is playing out, today, Barack Obama, in agreement with and conjunction with the Democratic platform that's going to be presented here in a couple of weeks, has offered or put out that he wants a public health option to go along with Obamacare. Now, why would that? What does that have to do with shootings in Dallas or Black Lives Matter? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Which is the whole point. Everybody's out here talking about, debating about gun control, debating about Black Lives Matter, debating about racism. And what's he doing? Coming in through the back door. Rob Garvner over at the Fiscal Times. Obama opens the back door to single-payer nationalized health plan. Among the many bones the Obama administration had to throw to supporters of the health insurance industry in order to get their support for the Affordable Care Act, abandoning the idea of a public option on the health insurance exchanges, a way for consumers to buy into a Medicare-type program, was among the biggest. They had to cast aside the concept of a single-payer option in order to get the ACA passed. For-profit insurance companies had no interest in trying to compete with the federal government on the open market, and the opposition to the idea was bipartisan. Now, what's happened? Obamacare is teetering financially. Half of the exchanges have shut down. There are several more that are on the verge of shutting down. Premiums are going up. We're not saving $2,500 a year. Some people have had their premiums triple. People have lost their great health plans and had to settle for a mediocre health plan so that the government can say more people are insured. Yeah, more people are insured, but are getting less for what they're paying for, if they're even paying for it. Okay? And what's happening now? Now they're touting, we need to add a public option because why? In their minds, it would create competition. Yeah, we're going to compete. You're not going to be able to compete. The whole idea here, the private insurers, some of the big ones, Blue Shield, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Who's the other one? United Care's already pulled out.
Kaiser
I don't think it really had anything to ever do with it because they're private. They everything they do is private. They're not tied in any way. They're their own entity. Let me put it that way.
If you're going to be in competition with the government.
Yeah. And so what's happening now is the end game. The Bailey was what? Single-payer health care.
Baby, they always wanted single payer. You knew that.
Nationalized health care, which you pay the government for your health insurance, and the government determines who lives and dies. Death panels, all the things that we were told were just, concocted stories and conspiracies and everything else is now being floated to do what? Because Obamacare isn't fending out the way it's supposed to. It's not working the way it's supposed to. It's costing more. And yeah, more people are covered, but they're covered for less.
I love this. And if the point of inserting a government program into an underserved community is to spur competition, there's little reason to assume that it would be successful. What insurer would look at the market in which one of its crime competitors would be the federal government and think it's a good idea to jump in? That's correct. There's not going to be any competition. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. We're the government. We own you.
Now, here's the words of Barack Obama. Public programs like Medicare often deliver care more cost-effectively by curtailing administrative overhead and securing better prices from providers. The public plan did not make it into the final legislation. Now, based on experience with the ACA, I think Congress should revisit a public plan to compete alongside private insurers in areas of the country where competition is limited. Adding a public plan in such areas would strengthen the marketplace approach, giving consumers more affordable options while also creating savings for the federal government.
Oh, jeez.
There's your Bailey, folks. That's the end game. That's the end game. And we're coming up here on the end of the show here, but here's the end game. Here's the Bailey. This is the end game. The end game is to have created, we've talked about this, and it's one of the Alinsky tactics, overburden the system. And when the system collapses, then you have the ability to come in with what you really wanted. In this case, they're taking private sector insurance and profit-based insurance, overburdening it, and driving insurers out.
Yep.
The government then says we don't have enough competition. Well, let's put the government into the picture. All right, there you go. As Ronald Reagan said, what is it? 8 most dangerous words in the world is "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yeah.
Okay. There it is, guys. We're at the end of the show for today.
We got to go.
We're at the end of the show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more in this. We're not done with this. This may be a theme most of the week, but we want to get it across to you because you need to know. We'll be back tomorrow. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We love you. We'll talk to you. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.